Hello and welcome to On Point. I'm Simone. And today we'll be discussing President Barack Obama and his first 100 days. As President Obama begins his reign as the leader of the free world, we're left wondering what challenges he will face, what he will address first, and how he will be able to restore the confidence of the American people and those beyond our shores. Mr. Obama enters as the first African American and the 44th President of the United States. Turn now to our three guests. First, we have Donal O'Sullivan, a historian with an emphasis in foreign policy and foreign opinion, particularly in Western Europe. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we have Shirley Svorny, the Department Chair of Economics here at Cal State Northridge. Welcome.
Thank you.
And finally, we have Larry Becker, a political scientist here at CSUN, who has an emphasis in the legislative process and the presidency. Welcome.
Thanks.
So just want to open up with a fairly broad kind of a topic. People talk about the honeymoon period of the presidency. What is this and what is the significance?
Well, presidents always enter office fairly popular, having just won an election and having sort of rallied the public to their side. Even very often people who didn't vote for the president sort of become more hopeful, and there's a kind of sort of period of good feelings and allowing a president to work their will for at least a short time. And usually those periods are short-lived, and presidents over the course of their presidency, the regular pattern is that they sort of lose a lot of their approval rating over time. And we'll have to see, to what extent that happens with Obama and how quickly that reservoir of opinion follows him.
Okay. And what other president has been sworn in with such popularity, and what effect do you think this will have on the first 100 days?
Obama came in more popular than most. Public opinion ratings, of course, don't go all the way back in American history, but John Kennedy came in with approval ratings around the same level as Obama, maybe a little bit higher. But he's come in with about the highest approval rating of any president. The first things that presidents do tend to erode that popularity, because the first things they have to do is make decisions, and inevitably you're disappointing people and you're irritating people and important interests out there. So, we'll see how long it lasts.
And how is his first 100 days going to compare to, let's say, President Bush or FDR? I open this question to all of you. So,
I would just say we'll have to see. I mean, we're not too far into it, and he's had some successes, and he's had a few missteps as well already. But at this point, he's very popular still.
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, I think it's quite significant that the presidents you mentioned are presidents that have really given an enormous emphasis on the American presidency, that put their mark on the American presidency. And from the global perspective, for example, there is nothing like it in the last 20 or 30 years. The amount of attention, the amount of optimism, the amount of confidence in a changing America is just remarkable. It's just night and day from the previous administration. So I think a lot of the population outside of the U.S. Wishes him well and hopes that he will succeed to the benefit of everybody, not only from the perspective of U.S. citizens.
Okay. Shirley, Obama has obviously come in as president in a time of crisis. He himself has said that he needs more like 1,000 days than 100 days to fix the state of the country. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the economy is certainly in a position we haven't seen it in my lifetime, and I think that he's moving quickly to try and pass a stimulus package. I think a lot of economists worry about that. There's not a lot of evidence that stimulus packages. We've had a lot of government spending, and it doesn't help. A lot of economists think that the Depression was prolonged by government intervention of this type, and other people think they didn't do enough. So there really isn't a lot of hard evidence to suggest that this would work. One of the things that struck me when I was listening to him the other night, I was driving home, and he was saying that, we tried tax cuts, they didn't work. But you mentioned Kennedy. Kennedy lowered tax rates when he was president, and it was one of the few times when we've had a reduction in tax rates, and we had a positive economic effect. So a lot of what he says is, he has to say, I guess, politically, but so it's really hard to know exactly what he's going to do.
Okay. O'Sullivan, having a focus on foreign policy and opinion, how do you think the rest of the world is taking to Obama, and specifically his first 100 days?
Well, I think we all remember those images of Barack Obama speaking in Berlin in front of a crowd of over 200,000 people, and the exuberance of Europeans after basically having a very, very difficult time with his predecessor, I think is quite stunning. On the other hand, of course, now it comes down to the nitty-gritty of everyday relationships, and of course, Europeans to a varying degree expect different things. And of course, they're looking towards American economic plans with a little bit of a skeptical eye. They are fearing that they might be shut out from American businesses, especially in terms of the stimulus package that might restrict loans and investment to US-based businesses only, and outside companies, of course, want to partake and want to invest as well and want to benefit as well. So that is one concern, that this whole economic crisis might lead to a revival of protectionism, and that has been a concern for European but also Asian companies and governments, and I think they would love to have some kind of global cooperation where the United States takes the lead, but where they also can play a part. Right now it looks as though every country tries to devise their own way out of this mess, and that doesn't really bode very well for a successful resolve of this crisis.
Okay. And Shirley, we were obviously just talking about the economy and the stimulus package. What kinds of strategies do you think Obama will use to improve the economy other than just the stimulus package?
Well, the kinds of things that he's suggested are things that this idea of buying American, though I know he's getting some people who supported him in the election, who wanted him to be even more protectionist, are not happy that he has actually shown a little bit of reticence in terms of going out there and being really protectionist. But that would be the worst thing that could happen. That's what happened, not the worst. But if you look at what happened during the Depression, we engaged in protectionism. We had huge government programs. We protected, unions got more power. And those are all the kinds of things that Obama's talking about doing right now. So when you think about a market economy, and your point about having some international, I'm not sure we need an international, I know we don't need an international resolution of it, but I know that, all the evidence suggests that when you start to restrict trade, you're going to make yourself poorer and everyone else poorer. It's just not a good idea.
And when are people going to start actually seeing the effects of this kind of the stimulus plan and the tax cuts and that kind of thing?
As I said, there's no evidence that very little evidence that a stimulus plan will work. Christina Romer, who's chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, some of her work has been directly on this, and she wouldn't be one to say that this will work. Some economists are wondering why Larry Summers is saying that this will work, and there's something to do with consumer confidence, and the only thing I can think is that they're hoping that if they tell us something will work, we'll be more confident, and then we'll start spending money, and that will cause the economy to do better. Because I don't think in and of themselves the proposals that are coming forward will. That's the funny part about a recovery, is that after it's over, everything that you did gets credit for the recovery, even if none of those things did. Even if what Roosevelt did prolonged the Depression, people think that's what made it end.